Hello, good morning, amazing people. Welcome to ATN Saturday. And you know, ATN Saturday is a syndicated live program of the network featuring conversations and in-depth analysis of trending political news, event stories with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system, and actors to explore hope and engender positive impacts to the society. On our first topic today, we have Imo State landlord arrested for shooting tenant's son. In Niger State, how drunk policeman killed my son, widow cries out. In Ibadan, Oyo drops charges against Oni's ex-queen and others. On NYSC, DG assures 77,000 core allowance payment from March end. On sexual advances, I endured abuse harassment for over a year. This was said by Natasha. And on sextortion, British teenagers targeted by Nigerian gangs, UK Agency on Health. Experts lament rising use of synthetic drugs among youth. Lastly, on benevolence, Nigerian ranks high for helping strangers and also low in charity. This was said by a report. Alright, we would go on a short commercial break, and when we return, we'll be introducing you to our guests. Please stay tuned. Hello, amazing viewers. Welcome back to the show. I have two amazing guests today with me in the studio. I have Miss Tehila. She's an educator and blogger. Welcome, Miss Tehila.
Thank you.
And I have Miss Adeze. She's a lifestyle blogger, content creator, and graphics designer. Two beautiful, amazing ladies. Welcome to the studio, Miss Adeze.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's head down to the stories we have for today. On our first story, in Imo State, the state's police command has announced the arrest of a landlord whose identity is still unknown after shooting a boy identified as Paul, who jumped into his house to retrieve a ball during a game of football. Newsmen gathered on Wednesday that Paul and his fellow schoolmates were playing football on Monday within their urban secondary school field in Area N, World Bank Housing Estate in Owerri, the Imo State capital, when the ball entered the next building. However, the ball bounced back and landed in the now arrested landlord's house. In an attempt to retrieve the ball, Paul jumped into the man's property and was shot around the waist, which left him lying critically in pain. When contacted about the incident, the police public relations officer for Imo State Police Command, Henry Okoye, confirmed the landlord's arrest. Okoye said the man has been arrested and an investigation is ongoing. The victim is currently receiving treatment at the hospital. However, Paul's guardian, Jonathan Odinkanwa, who was seen running helter-skelter for surgery, and his son told our correspondent on Wednesday that he was concerned about his child and didn't want to escalate the issue. The businessman said, "I thank you for coming to interview me. However, I don't want to escalate the issue for now. I just want my boy to survive this critical pain." That is what could be possible. Okay, so that was just really it, right? So over to you, Miss Adeze. What do you think could be what could be possible for the landlord's reaction? Do you think it's poverty or harsh economic reality or past experience?
He's a landlord, so I want us to take out the poverty. Maybe poverty too. I mean, the economy is really hard now, but with the insecurity in Imo State, let's go with past experiences. No one knows if he has had a robber jump into his house. I'm not excusing what he did. It's extreme, but I'm also trying to look at it from his own perspective rather. So maybe he's had past experiences where he was robbed or attacked in his house, and the boy jumping through the fence to get the ball instead of, maybe going to the gates and knocking, saying, "Oh, something, we threw a ball into your house." Maybe that would have worked better. I don't excuse his actions, though. I feel like it was very extreme. We are very fond as Nigerians of taking laws into our own hands. Yes.
But okay, all right. So over to you, ma'am. Do you think he also panicked? Do you think he panicked maybe because of do you think he acted fast? Do you think he acted fast, or maybe he could have been patient, or he panicked, or it was deliberate?
I don't think it was deliberate. I think his action was too fast. If he had delayed a bit and then saying what the boy wants to do, probably hide somewhere, he could have understood that the boy came to pick up the ball that fell into his compound. So his action was a bit of in a rush. So I guess that was what led to that. He didn't verify what the boy came to do.
All right, we will go on a short commercial, and when we return, we'll continue. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back, viewers. Now to our next story. In Oyo State, government has dropped all charges against Naomi Silekunalo, former wife of the Oni of Ife, Oriyomi Hamzat, owner of the Adidibo FM, and Abdullahi Fasasi, principal of Islamic High School, Basharun Ibado. The trial had initially faced legal action following the tragic stampede at a children's event in December 2024, which claimed the lives of at least 35 children. Following Thursday's court session, the defendants were seen visibly relieved, smiling and exchanging pleasantries, a clear indication that the charges has been dropped. Oyo State Attorney General Abiodun Aikomo confirmed the development, explaining the rationale behind the court's decision. He said it was an unfortunate incident that led to the death of many. And you see, in law, whenever death occurs and the circumstances are not natural, the law will take its due course. So the state responded by filing charges against the persons implicated in the investigation. In the course of doing that, we actually wanted to prosecute, but the affected persons showed empathy, they showed compassion, and as far as human beings can do, they tried to persuade the feelings of the affected parties and the circumstance. We felt the essence of persecution is not to kill people or persecute them. It is in the interest of justice to discontinue these charges, and that is what happened today. So we withdrew the charge and it was struck out by the court. There is no charge against them, so they are free. This decision by the government. All right, so now this particular story, I want to hear your view on it. This decision by the government, is it the best considering the fact that lives were lost?
For me, I think it's the best because no matter the action they take, it won't bring back those lives that were lost. They must have nothing to do with the stampede. So since they've shown their empathy, it's best to just let it go instead of dragging and then making the families of these people that were affected to continue remembering their lost ones.
Okay, all right, very well. So, Miss Adeze, over to you. Have you done a charity to others and get table turned against you ever before?
I don't think so. No, I've not had that experience. But in this case, I think they should have at least told the public, since it's like a general investigation, on what grounds the charges were being dropped for. I think the statement is vague. Showed empathy. In what way are the people affected? Are they in support of the charges being dropped? I'm not saying, I know that it's something that happened. It can happen to anyone doing charity, but I think maybe the a broader explanation to the public on, oh, this is why we've checked, we've looked into this is what we found out, and this is why we are dropping the charges. Although I support what Mr. Hila said, that the family of the affected, they don't want to be dragged into all of this court case and all of that, and they need space and time to grieve for their loved ones. So perhaps dropping the charges is the best thing to do.
Oh, okay. So you know that on this matter, it was more like they had it was a charity that was done. They called people. They wanted to share things, and and then unfortunately, this got to this way. So now, over to you, Mr. Hila. What do you think would be the perception of the parents of the deceased, considering the judgment or by the High Court? What do you think, would be their face now? What do you think would be the perception of the parents? How do you think they will be feeling now, considering what the High Court has already decided recently, that they should be dropping the charges against them?
I think while the case was going on, the parents must have had a follow-up. So, like she said, they must have known the reasons why they are dropping the case. So, the court wouldn't just drop the case if they are not in support of it.
So, but what do you think? Like, what is the perception of the parents of the deceased? Like, considering the judgment, how do you think they feel now?
Different people and their feelings.
And also, do you think they were pushed to give their consent in dropping this charge, or do you think they just free willy just drops the charges?
I don't think they were pushed, because you can't push parents of 35 kids. If you can push 5, you can't push 10. So if some of them didn't agree to it. Probably the majority agreed to it. That was what led to them dropping the charges.
Mm, okay. All right. Very well. That is it about this Oyo State judgment charges that have been dropped. According to Mr. Hila, she said that there is no way or it's not possible that the charges will be dropped without their consent. Now, condolences to the family that is grieving. So, on our next story, in Niger State, widow of 11 years with 9 children, Aisha Hezan, had accused operatives of the Niger State Police Command of killing his 27-year-old son, Sani Khalid, in cold blood. Newsmen gathered that the incident happened in Angwa Kajay area of Matimbu, Mina Chanjaga local government area of Niger State, where she lived with her children before Khalid was allegedly killed by a police bullet. Aisha, 45, told newsmen that she and her children were sleeping in their apartment around 3 a.m. when Khalid stood up and went outside to get some fresh air due to the hot weather conditions. She said before she knew what was happening, she had an approaching police patrol vehicle and also heard a gunshot. When she heard the second gunshot, instinctively she told the children who were with her that somebody had been shot. Aisha immediately ran outside to look for Khalid, and to her shock, she found Khalid lying on a bench in a nearby shop of a Mai Shai or tea vendor. According to the widow, she cautiously went to where Khalid was lying down and shook him to get up and come inside the house, but Khalid did not react. When she reacted to the act, Khalid fell down from the bench lifeless. Aisha said she began to scream that the police had killed her son. Neighbors who were getting ready for day's Muslims fasting session soon gathered around to console her, while she quickly took the body of Khalid to a nearby hospital where the doctors confirmed that he had been shot dead. Narrating her ordeal, she told newsmen during an exclusive interview, "My name is Aisha Hezan. I lost my husband 11 years ago. We had 9 children, but one died, and I'm now left with 8 children. On the night that he died, he was actually killed just like that. We were all in the house around 3 a.m. when Sani got up and said he was going to take some fresh air. Shortly after, I heard the sound of a police patrol vehicle, and it was later followed by a gunshot. When I heard the second gunshot, I instinctively told my children that somebody had been shot. I left the room to look for Sani. I found him lying on a bench at a Mai Shai shop. I went to wake him to tell him to come inside the house. I shook him, but he was lifeless. I tried to shake him again, and he rolled down to the floor. I began to scream that the police had shot my son. People came over there and said we should take him to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, the doctors confirmed him dead. Sani, my son, was like the family's breadwinner after my husband died. He was a footballer and he used to do some trading in the market. Now that the police have killed him, they should bring back my son." Some neighbors in the Angwa-Kaje area told newsmen that the policeman who shot Khalid was obviously drunk when he shot the gun, as he also attempted to shoot the Mai Hai, but the Mai Shai narrowly escaped. According to one of the neighbors, he said Khalid was unarmed and lying on the Mai Shai's bench when the bullet hit him. They pointed out the place was quiet as it was still very early in the morning. Now, this particular story, it's actually one with so much emotions in it. So, to you, Miss Adeza, what do you think of the story? What's your idea on the story?
It's very sad. It's really, really sad. Like,
Right?
my condolences to the woman. She's already a widow. She's just 45. And she has lost, like she said, he was like the family's breadwinner due to police brutality. It's crazy that even now in 2025, after we had protested against police brutality back in 2020, we are still experiencing it, even worse than before, because he was just outside. He wasn't in a protest. He wasn't anywhere. He was just outside his house for fresh air, right? And he was killed. It's a very sad story. It's a very sad story.
So have you experienced something like this, even if not directly or indirectly, had something like this, or someone close to you affected by police brutality or something like this?
Yes.
Okay, can we share?
I was in a bus one day traveling, and This policeman stopped us, and there were some good-looking, well-dressed young men on the bus there with us, and they started harassing them. It's not it's not like they had information or they had a search warrant or whatever. Just started searching. It wasn't even done properly and all of that. Going through their phones, going through their bank accounts. Yes, as much. Open your OPay, open your like it was very intrusive. They had no regard absolutely for their privacy, for anything at all. So I found it very humiliating, although I wasn't directly affected, but I saw how it affected those young men, and they still had to end up paying some money to let them go for doing absolutely nothing. You've searched me, you didn't see anything on me, you didn't see, and I still have to pay you money for what? But that's the case in Nigeria. If you just have to do it so that you can survive, you can be let off the hook for doing absolutely nothing.
Oh, very well. So, over to you, Miss Neil. Have you seen this recent video on police training, police brutal training? Oh, I don't think you've seen it. So, is there a possibility that this wasn't accidental but vengeful? Do you think there could be some sort of misconception somewhere, or do you think this is a planned attack? Do you think this is an accident, or that he was drunk, as stated clearly in the story?
I think it wasn't planned.
Okay.
Because it stated that he was drunk.
Okay.
So definitely a drunk man wouldn't know what he's doing. So he's saying the boy lying down there. But I want to ask, was he the only one in the police van? Were there no other policemen with him? Because if he wasn't the only one, there is no way they would just let him leave the van knowing he's drunk, allow him to go with a gun, or were they all drunk? So I think it was an accident. I think it was an accident.
So to you, Mr. Desa, do you think this was an accident, or this was like a planned attack?
I don't think it's
It was an
planned.
accident. Oh, okay.
I don't think it was planned, but there are a lot of questions to ask.
Right.
Were they patrolling by that time of the morning? The news didn't say anything about anything being done to the police people. And it's not like he was drunk. It is the people around community that said that he must have been drunk. It's not being confirmed that he was drunk. It is people around that said that, oh, for him to do this thing, we're trying to make meaning out of the action. Maybe he was drunk, but it's not really being confirmed. Whether it is vengeful or it is accidental, I don't even think that's the point here. I think the point here is that some of these policemen are, what do I call it, trigger happy. They are just looking for an opportunity to like use the trigger, because I don't know what kind of beef he would have with a boy that literally just came out. And he wanted to also shoot someone else. I don't think that's just drunk. Drunk people don't go around shooting people. That's not just drunk. Maybe he was onto something stronger as well. Yeah.
So what do you think should be done to this policeman in question? Like, given the fact that he shot someone, and the person is dead according to the story. What do you think? What do you think should be done to him to set an example for other policemen to follow? Because I know that, just like you said, this is not the first time something like this is happening. It's happening everywhere around the nation. So if you are in a space and the government is going to give you, or the court gives you go ahead, or Miss Adesa, what do you think should be done so that it can be used as an example so that it can be set as an example to other policemen around the nation?
Okay. I don't think anything special should be done except what is done to other people who kill people. This is manslaughter. So, and it's a deliberate action. Yeah, it's not going to be called a mistake. You didn't mistakenly want to shoot someone and another person who narrowly escaped. If the first one was a mistake, the second one wasn't. So whatever normally in these cases would see them suspend the police officer or take their job, which is something very small compared to the fact that, oh, this person took someone's life and was about to even take another person's life. And then something also has to be done about his fellow officers that were in the van with him. It's not just him, but they that saw what was happening and they couldn't even stop him or stand in or whatever, just do anything to prevent that from happening. I think whatever it is that should be done to someone who kills another person in cold blood should be done to the police officer. There should be no preferential treatment. There should be no favor. He is even being held to a higher standard because they are supposed to uphold the law. So yes, that's what I think should be done.
All right, over to you, ma'am. If you knew this woman directly, like this woman in question, what would be your advice to her?
First off, to console her for her loss, and then advise her to follow up on the case, because you can't just take someone's life and you tell the person, I am sorry, I was drunk, as long as you aren't the only person in the van. So she should follow up the case. The investigation should be carried out properly to ascertain that they get to know the reason why the man.
Okay. So what if justice is not coming? You said, you said following up the case. So what if at the end of the day justice is not coming? Adding to the fact that she said she doesn't have, she's a widow, she doesn't have a husband, and that this son, in quotes, is the breadwinner. So what do you think should be of her now? Even after going after the case and knowing if justice is served and every other thing, and how should she take life from now, given the fact that the son that died is the breadwinner of the family now?
She shouldn't lose hope, knowing the son that died was the breadwinner. She shouldn't lose hope, even though the result she gets from the investigation isn't what she expected. So she should just carry on. Since she has other kids, she could just carry on, and it will get better. Because hoping she would get what she actually desires from the judgment won't come. She might be hoping, okay, they'll say they should kill the policeman also, which is not going to happen. So she should just, whatever judgment that comes, she should accept it and then continue with her life.
Right. All right. According to our guest today, on this story, the widow should move on and continue with her life. Sadly. All right, moving on to our next story. Suspended Senator Natasha Buti-Uduaghan, Kogi Central, has taken her ordeal to Sky News, where she alleged that endured sexual advances of Senate President Godswill Akpabio for over a year, despite the resident electoral commissioner for Kogi State, Hale Longpet, denying knowledge of any recall process for Buti-Uduaghan. Ebira Indigents insists that a recall process is ongoing and endorsed by a majority of the electorate in the area. The senator reiterated during the interview with the popular British television network on Wednesday that her suspension was a direct consequence of her outcry against abuse, sexual harassment, and not the gross misconduct the Senate reported. According to her, the Senate president continually told her that she must please him if she wanted to enjoy her privileges and perks of office as a senator. She said, I made an allegation of sexual harassment against the president of the Nigerian Senate, Godswill Akpabio, on March 5th, 2025. And the next day, I was suspended for 6 months. I believe my suspension is illegal, unjust, and just a way of silencing me. I experienced sexual harassment over the past year at the hands of the Senate president, and this sexual harassment because I refused to yield to his demands turned into malice, whereby my rights and privileges as a senator were deprived. Buti-Uduaghan said she found the courage to speak up as the breaking point was moving her from her former seat. I have had to endure a whole lot in silence, she added. The Ibira indigents said they resolved to bring the embattled senator back home, as the embarrassment she reportedly caused the senatorial district had unfortunately taken an international dimension. This stand was taken in a statement yesterday, jointly signed by the president of Kogi Central Elites Forum, Ibrahim Abdulaziz Ibrahim, and Secretary Akerejola Johnson. This constituents told Nigerians to disregard the deliberate mischief by the camp of the Kogi Central Senator, suggesting that people were deceived to come out for the recall exercise. No one is sponsoring this recall. Our people are largely united on this cause. From the history of Ibiras, you know we cannot be deceived. What she has done has been mainly propaganda. Even some of us that supported her on social media then are no longer with her. We cannot trade the integrity of the state and Nigeria for the selfish juvenile tendencies of a senator. A matter as simple as not taking an assigned seat in the Senate should not be one that would warrant a sexual harassment, national embarrassment of this nature, especially where all evidences point to blackmail. This is not who we are as Ibiras, the statement reads. On the issue of the wreck, disclaiming the exercise, the constituent said the response was misconstrued. Even though her claims are allegations for now, alright, so on this particular story, yeah, of Miss Natasha accusing the Senate president of sexual harassment, do you think, these things are allegations for now, do you think women go via this, do you think women go through this, even in the corporate world? Do you think these things happen? Do you think there are chances that even as this is an allegation, that there could be an element of truth in this, even in reality, like in the world, in the corporate world? Mr. Desert.
All right. Thank you. Yes, and yes again. As a woman and as someone who has even experienced sexual harassment, yes, it's very possible. There might be an iota of truth. There might be an element of truth in these. Women are sexually harassed in workplaces, in their schools, in a lot, even in the markets, for God's sake. And this is Nigeria. So there is, even with the lawlessness that we have as a nation, there is even a greater chance of it happening and the perpetrators going scot-free than even anywhere else. So yes, it's very possible.
It's very possible. All right, have you been in such situation? Have you been, in a situation of being sexually harassed or something,
It's no. Yes, I have, but
okay, you wouldn't want to share.
Yeah, and it's not in a workplace situation. Yes, I have. Yes.
All right. Over to you, Miss. Have you found yourself dealing with a bullish boss before?
Yes.
So you've been in a situation where you get to work with a boss that is difficult and tries to sexually harass you, touch you, try to put it in line of your work. How did you handle it?
Okay, there is this school where I taught.
Okay.
So at first it was just going normal. I thought it was normal, like as for a boss and a staff. But as time goes on, as time went on, the narrative changed. This man was giving me the kind of attention I didn't like. There are days I would come to school, he would ask me to leave my office and come to his own office. Talking about something that is not even relevant. And when I would tell him I need to go back to my office, I would be like, can't you stay? I knew this was a sign that this man wants something else, but I just acted like I didn't know. With time, he came open, and I told him, sir, I can't do this. So afterward, he started giving me some attitude, making me feel like I'm not doing my job.
Your job.
Every little thing he would just nag in the presence of other teachers, and I was feeling like, what have I done? Then I realized this man was actually asking me out, and I turned him down. So I think that was because I stayed for some months, and then it even got to his wife. The wife knew about it. Though I didn't tell the wife. I think my other teachers, because I told them. I think they told the wife. I just had to leave this school because it wasn't a good working environment for me.
It was toxic.
It wasn't at all.
I'm sorry about that. So, you know, Miss Adeze, this particular story has been going on, I think, since March, beginning March 5th. I think she filed the statement, or she signed the statement petition to the Senate on this matter, 5th of March. That was when her suspension came up. So now, what do you think is the fate of the Nigerian woman in public office spaces? You know that this is just the Senate House, and Senate House is more like Nigeria. That's like, if this kind of thing happens in the Senate, do you understand? As alleged, actually, if this kind of thing happens in the Senate, what is the fate of the normal Nigerian woman? What is the fate of that market woman? What's the fate of that woman in her office? What is the fate of that teacher in the school? What is the fate of, you know, that young child in school? Or what is the fate of the young Nigerian woman in public office spaces if this kind of thing is happening in the Senate?
I'm judging from what has happened so far and the kind of negative backlash that she has received, Senator Natasha has received for just speaking up. It's not that the backlash has been about, oh, let's check the story, let's investigate on it. It's been more like on her character, on her person, on her job. Like, literally, they've been trying to silence her. The fate of other women is that people who are even being harassed in their workplaces, wherever they are, they would be ashamed, or they would be scared rather to speak up, knowing that a woman of that status and power, and she's married to, or filed an allegation that she's been sexually harassed, and she received that kind of widespread backlash. It doesn't bode well for the Nigerian women, because people are going to be like, this woman with all of her power, all of her prestige, she's in the Senate and she's getting this kind of negative attention. I think it's going to influence a lot of things. A lot of people, a lot of girls, a lot of ladies, a lot of women that are being sexually harassed, they will not feel the need to speak up, because what is the assurance that they're going to be heard? Just heard, not even that anything, just heard, not that anything is going to be done, just heard. What is the assurance that, oh, we are going to actually listen to you, we are going to maybe look into this, and if it is true, we're going to do something about this? I don't think it bodes well at all for the Nigerian women.
All right, now given the suspension that was given to her, coming from the suspension angle, do you think the suspension given to her by the Senate committee, do you think is a fair judgment, Ms. Adeze? Because you know what brought up the suspension? They said they told her to move her seat, or move the sitting position in the Senate, and then she disagreed, and then I think they walked her out. The next day she came to Senate, and then she filed a petition against Senator Akpabio on sexual harassment. Not even so, she was alleging that she was being harassed, and that was why she was getting the treatment that she was getting from Senator Akpabio. So do you think that the suspension given to her by the Senate committee, do you think is a fair judgment?
It depends on it's before we even talk about it being a fair judgment or not, what is the basis of the suspension? Are they suspending her because she was given an order and she refused to, or is the suspension based on the fact that she filed for sexual harassment charges? I feel like the whole thing coincided with the events. They coincided with each other. Like today she was asked to leave, and the next day she filed for sexual harassment. It is possible that these two events has nothing to do with each other. Maybe she has been wanting to file for that, and then maybe she got the opportunity to do that the next day. Well, I mean, we are Nigerians. We're just going to believe that, oh, it is because you people asked me to move, might say that is why I am filing for sexual harassment. I think it is worth looking at why the reason, the why are we suspending her, and then for 6 months. It feels very unjust. It feels very extreme for not refusing, for not agreeing to move your seat. If that is the reason, and which maybe that should be the reason, because you don't suspend someone for saying, for crying for help, for saying, oh, I am being sexually harassed by my boss. You look into the matter, and when there is sufficient evidence that, oh, you told a lie, you're trying to blackmail this innocent man, perhaps you can go ahead with disciplinary measures. But to suspend her for not moving her seat for 6 months, it's quite unfair.
Yeah, and on this particular story, yeah, she has been laying claims that she has been enduring Senator Akpabio for a very long time. That she has been enduring so much that she gave a story, an instance when she was at her place, at his place with the husband, and she was, you know, the Senate president allegedly was throwing advances at her while her husband was behind her. So now, do you think, and given the fact that she's married, so now it means, do you think that this means that you don't even have to be married anymore? You don't even have to be married anymore, right? So do you think this has to be with just married women, or just think, or do you think this is generally as a woman in Nigeria or everywhere? And also, do you think it's wrong for her speaking out? Do you think she should have, you know, like, kept it to herself, endured? Because in Nigeria, you know, women, in quotes, we are being taught to endure, you know, everything, endure, just be calm, be quiet about it, take it calmly and all of that. Do you think she should have endured in this situation?
Okay, you asked if it's general or single or married. I think it's a general thing. Since I have experienced it,
Right.
I'm not married. So it's a general thing, because since they don't consider your marital status for coming after you, it's a general thing. I think her timing was wrong. It wasn't perfect. If she had filed for this petition before they asked her to change her seats, it wouldn't have come this way.
Yes, sir.
Would have believed that, okay, they gave her the suspension because she filed for sexual harassment and all of that. But she had an issue the previous day asking her to move her seat, which she disobeyed, and the next day probably she allowed her emotions to get the best of her. So if she had held on a little, allowed the whole seat thing to be sorted out before coming out, though we are Nigerians, we would still say the same thing. Even if it's after a month, we would still say it's because. Yeah. But if they had given her the judgment of 6 months suspension after the whole seat thing, then she filed the petition, we still say the same thing again, but would have understood that the judgment came as a result of she disobeying
And all that.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So, you know, on this still on this particular story, she has claims, or rather, she has history of filing for sexual harassment, not once, not twice. I don't know. Did you guys see the story?
I think I've heard that.
She's known for filing for sexual harassment. So, do you think this might just be one of, you know, claims she lays on her bosses in her previous workplaces? Or do you think for legit this might be real? Adding to the fact the way Senate just dismissed it, they didn't actually listen to her. They just dismissed the claims and they just give her suspension. Until now, nothing has been done about it.
For the fact that she has been filing for these
Different
things,
persons, right?
do you get? I feel like attention should be paid to, not the kind of attention obviously that was paid to it. Attention should be paid to it, like this person has been complaining severely, like, oh, I'm being harassed. And as a married woman, think about the single women that are working, that are there, if there are any there. But I think attention should have been paid to her, given the fact that it's not even the first time, but again, we are in Nigeria. I feel like the Senate really dismissed her quite hastily. It was like, oh, you have filed too much, you have talked too much, go and rest for 6 months. Yeah, something like that.
So do you think she should have been listened to more before they passed their judgment? You think she should have been given more time to, bring up the evidence against Senator Ababio?
I don't even think she was listened to at
At
all.
all, right?
I don't even.
Because she's been filing cases
Yes, I don't even think that she was listening to at all. It doesn't help that her female counterparts in the
Couldn't help
office were like, oh, being so. I don't even know how to
Sarcastic
put
about
it. You get, nobody was coming from a point of, oh, this thing, it's a complaint. Let's set up a panel. Let's look into it. Let's do something about it. It was more like, why would you
speak up?
Why would you? Why would anybody? It's literally like someone saying, oh, I'm hurting, this thing is hurting me, and then you're asking them, why are you telling us that you're hurting? So it's better that you continue to hurt. If we have been enduring it, please endure it. So I really admire her, whether I don't know, it's still alleged there, but for filing and to keep doing it, even when she has no attention has been paid to her. I'm grateful actually for the negative attention too, because I mean, attention is still attention. So maybe there would be a change. If it is true that the sexual harassment was actually going on, because I mean, if we don't know, they've not even been willing to look into it, so we don't even know if it is true or not. If it is actually going on, which I suspect that it is, but with the whole attention that this matter has gotten, I think this men will be more careful, knowing that there is a possibility that these ladies can just file low, they can speak up, even if nothing is done to them, but at least they will speak up. So yeah.
So on this particular story, someone said something on Twitter. I do not want to say his handle, but he was like that this is the reason why women are not given a chance to be in power, are not given a chance at power, given a seat at the top, because they cannot handle things like this. That if this was to be a man, the man would just simply move on with his life, but that she is adding so much emotions to this. Do you think that this is true, that we women, we ladies, we are emotional, and that is why we're not given seats at the top?
It is.
After you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, after you come to her.
Oh, okay, all right. Being emotional is not a weakness, it's a strength. Emotional intelligence, I think very few people have that, and we as women, we even have it comes to us naturally. So saying that a woman shouldn't hold a seat in power because she's emotional, it's a lack of emotional intelligence on whoever tweeted that part. And saying that someone who is sexually harassed should just move on. How do they move on? They are still in the workplace. It's still going to keep happening. So you are literally telling them that as long as they occupy that seat of power or position, they will have to continually go through that. It's very unfair. It's very, I don't know, it's not a wise thing to say. And if something had been done about the other ones that she filed, and it served as a deterrent to the other people who may want to harass others, or who are even actively doing it, maybe they would stop. But because nothing has been done and nothing is still being done about it, I think it's still going to continue. And because of people like that make those kind of tweets, how many women are in the Senate? I think it's
just
4. So we are very underrepresented. I don't think it calls for, this is why we don't why are you deciding who we let? Should places of position and power not be about what people can do, their ability, what they have done before? Do you understand? Should it have to be about, we are allowing you as a woman, it is a privilege It's very sick. It's very sick.
All right, very well. According to Mr. Deza, she said that it is very sick, alleging, or rather, denoting that women are given privileges to be in power. Oh, okay. So this might be my last question on this particular one. According to Ms. Adeza, she said we are underrepresented in places of power. So, especially in the Senate, we're just like four there. So one of them came out she granted an interview, and then on this matter, and then she said that she has been the only one receiving preferential treatment from the other members of the House. And there are other ladies, but she was the only one receiving preferential treatment. So she was saying that even if she's alleging that Senator Akpabio sexually harassed her, that others were also giving her attention. So does that mean that every other every other men in the Senate we are also harassing her, that it is not a sexual harassment threat? So now I have two questions I'm pointing out from this. First is, do you think, based on women supporting women, do you think she coming out to say something like that, that she's supposed to be preferential, supporting her and stuff like that? What do you think on this?
I think her statement didn't come in good. Because as a lady, even if you haven't experienced sexual harassment, you should have an idea, but someone close to you must have experienced it. So you say she was receiving preferential treatment, could be because of her capabilities, how good she is. Probably she said out of spite, she was jealous, she wasn't getting it. So why would you not target as a preferential treatment? But she trying to say that we are giving her that special treatment because they wanted something from her. So if they wanted something from her, was she giving it to them? So why did they stop giving her the special treatments? Do you understand? So since they didn't stop, it could be because of her abilities, how good she is. So she's saying I believe it's out of jealousy.
All right, Mr. Deze. So now, this will be my last question. So now, adding to the fact that she said she was receiving preferential treatment from others, I saw something on social media pertaining this particular, because I made some I just really did some research pertaining this particular story. Someone said that this generation, we ladies, we enjoy preferential treatment from men. For instance, she was making an instance. She was like, a man, giving you money, giving you free treatment, maybe preferring you to others and stuff like that, and you are welcoming those advances, you are welcoming the gifts and money and everything and stuff like that. And when the person wants to hit his point, or what he's after, it's termed sexual harassment. So my question now is, do you think it's good for a lady to receive treatment from anybody? Receive money. For instance, maybe a man just wants to give you money. So according to the lady, she was saying she doesn't receive anything from any stranger, anything from any man at all that is not her husband or her man, anything freely. That if you give anything free, she would find a way to give it back to you. So do you think it's okay to receive preferential treatment, to accept advances, just harmless and pleasantries? Do you think it's good to receive them or to reject them when they come, especially when the person is not stating why this is coming? For instance, buying you meals, giving you lifts, giving you gifts, giving you money, just treating you preferentially. Maybe when you are in a queue with others, he just tells you to come in front, or just gives you things freely. Do you think it's okay? It's really okay to, or not okay to accept advances and preferential treatment and gifts from men?
Now I feel like this is a personal something. Personally, I wouldn't. Like there are some kind of things that you would do, and I'll be like, I would feel uncomfortable, and I'm like, okay, maybe this person might be on to something else. Now we have to also make a distinction between being kind to people and actually making advances. Someone can buy you a meal because they got themselves a meal, and they notice that you've not eaten, you're in the office and they got you lunch, or can pay for your cab fare or something. I have paid for people's cab fare. I didn't do it because I was sexually interested in them. Imagine if they were thinking that. So I think this whole thing has made both the fear of being misinterpreted, it means whatever, you get what I mean.
I understand.
Whatever, the fear of that has made people even unwilling to show kindness, like because you don't know what you're going to do, and they will say that, oh, this is what you want. I feel like as adults that we are, perhaps we should be forward with what we want. And in the case of Senator Natasha, she is a married woman. It's not that whatever preferential treatment she was receiving, which we don't really know for sure if she was receiving any, was coming from a place of, oh, I want to have a relationship with you. She's a married woman. So in the case of all women, it's just for whoever is giving the preferential treatment. There is also a duty for us to refuse to accept, or maybe to be formal about it, or be professional about it, especially if it's in a workplace. But if the person who is doling out the gifts can be forward with what they want, perhaps it would go a very long way. Like Mr. Hiller said, that the man said, your boss then said, oh, I want to have something with you, and she said, no, I don't. And his character changed. So most times, in most cases, to be honest, the whole special treatment, it precedes the advances, yes. So if they can actually be forward and say, oh, I want something with you, do you think that's possible? Do you think you're willing to try before all of this? Because you don't know which one is someone being kind to you. You don't know which one is someone helping you. You don't know which one is, because if you say you're never receiving preferential or acts of kindness, that, like, what is life without us being kind and generous to each other, not just opposite sex or something like that, to each other? It's like, if we're saying we will never, although yes, some women, they don't know these things and they still continue to accept. But are we saying that a relationship or sex is now the reward or the price for someone being kind or being generous to you? That should be in question. I wouldn't know.
Well, so many questions on this particular Senator Natasha's sexual allegations against Senator Ababio. So many questions, but we'll leave that for another day. We'll move on to the next story. United Kingdom's National Crime Agency has sounded the alarm over the growing threat of sextortion gangs from Nigeria and other West African countries targeting British teenage boys. The agency expressed concern that British teenagers as young as 14 were being targeted and blackmailed on Snapchat and Instagram by Nigerian crime gangs who disguise themselves as young women to extort them. A report by a UK-based online platform, Leading British Conversation, obtained by Newsmen on Thursday, stated that suspected gangs from Nigeria and Ivory Coast threatened teenagers with exposing their photos to friends, family, and classmates unless they paid a demanded sum. A senior manager at the NCA's Child Exploitation and Online Protection Command, Maria Smith, described the abuse as extremely This campaign will help empower young boys, giving them the knowledge to spot the dangers posed by this crime type and how to report it. It supports them to understand that if it does happen, it is never their fault. It will also take the advantage away from the criminals responsible whose only motivation is financial gain. All right, on this particular story, over to you, Mr. Hila. Sorry, what's your idea on sextortion?
I think sextortion is actually emanating from. Okay, let's talk about Nigeria. It's actually emanating from the result of unemployment that we have. So, okay, I think the last paragraph talks about it coming up as a result of them getting financial gain. So, these persons involved in this act are not employed. If they had a good job, if they had something doing, they wouldn't go into this. Despite how the pay of the job wouldn't be huge, but they go into sextortion because they need quick money. It's because of unemployment. So if employment is being provided in the society, we would have less of this. I'm not saying it would curb like totally, but we would have less of sextortion.
Okay, so over to you, Miss. What's your idea on sextortion?
I feel like it's an extension of internet fraud.
Okay.
If you are asking people to, like, blackmailing people with their nudes, and maybe it's an extension of internet fraud, and yeah, unemployment has something to do with it. Remember that these are children already in the UK. They are there already, right? I think it also has something to do with greed, because I feel like they're college students, are they not?
There.
Yeah, and to an extent, why there's a lot of questions to be asked, but I don't think the Nigerian unemployment now has anything to do with, because they are not even here in Nigeria. I feel it has to do with greed, and it's just really greed and lack of empathy for their fellow human beings. Like, it's greed, because why would you go as far as establishing a relationship with somebody that it looks like a premeditated act? You already know in your heart that you don't love this person. It's literally the format for internet fraud. But now they are no longer doing it in Nigeria. They've carried it, and they are now doing it in the UK. I just hope it doesn't grow out of proportion, doesn't become an epidemic, social epidemic that it is curtailed before it becomes worse. Yeah.
All right. So, Miss Tehila, have you been a victim of such behavior of sextortion?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Have you? What about you?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Can you share?
Yeah, I think there was this colleague of mine that was asking me out, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm not interested in you. In fact, I would go as far as saying that I thought of him as my friend. Like, I would say we were friends, and when he saw that, I don't know, there are some men that can handle being rejected. It's funny, and he saw that, oh, I wasn't budging, I wasn't giving in to his advances. He started threatening me that he's going to release my nudes, and I'm like, I don't even have. Like, where are you going to get it from to post it out there? And then later he did apologize, and he was like saying, oh, that he just wanted to like make me feel threatened so that I can give in and be in that relationship with him. So this kind of person will be the kind of person that will go abroad and they will do with that. I'm very worried about the bad name it is creating for us as Nigerians. Even out there, we already have a bad name internationally, but for now it is now for something else, and it's very sad.
And then, to the teenagers that take pictures of their nudes and post it publicly, like you see them on TikTok. There was even this challenge that they were dancing. You have to pull off your bra and stuff like that, like things like this. How do you think teenagers should utilize their cell phones? Should they be censored or allowed to explore, considering the age?
I think they should be censored, because if they are censored, the activities on their phone be monitored. You know everything that they are doing, and this would also reduce the whole sextortion thing. Because if these people doing the sextortion acts, you can't find any nudes of any teenagers or adults. If nobody's engaging in taking their nude pictures and sending it to people, they won't continue because they won't get the money anymore. So they won't continue. So if they are being properly monitored by their parents, check their phones constantly, know what they are doing, the websites the visits, the videos they make, who they talk to. Just monitor them time to time So ensure that they don't involve themselves in all of this. It would really go a long way to help.
All right, over to you, Mr. Dese. If your loved one was caught up in such situation, how would you handle it?
I don't know. Is it them being the ones doing the okay, like
being the victim?
Being the victims. It's not their fault. They were in a relationship with someone that they trust. It's like there was a time a celebrity, I think, had sex with her, I don't know, boyfriend or something like that, and yes, after they broke up or something like that. This is a relationship, and in relationships there is trust. This person did not send the nude because, oh, they love to show their naked body on social media. It was to a particular person. They have established trust with this person. So it's not the fault of the victim. Do you get? This thing is a malicious attempt to get money from these people. I would, if my loved one was a victim of that, I would let them know that, oh, you are not to blame, but perhaps we can be more careful. You can be more careful with choosing who you trust. Like, this person should have proven to you beyond reasonable doubt, although we can't even really say for sure, but to an extent beyond reasonable doubt that, oh, I got your back, whatever it is that we are doing, or it's between the both of us. So if my loved one was in that kind of situation, I will just let them know that it's not the end. It's not the end of the world. And also, depending on what is going to be done to these people, I believe it's going to serve to as a warning for other people who are engaging in this and who are planning to engage, because there are people that, even as this news is making the trends and all of that, they are like, oh, there's a new format. let's do that. This is a new format. It's very sad. It's very disheartening. No, it's blackmail, and it is punishable even by law. So maybe let's say now that the UK government is involved in it, let's see what's going to be done to these people. Yes.
All right, over to you, Mr. Hila. How would you protect your kids or loved ones from the harmful content out there on the media?
Like I said before, like monitoring them. But I think if my loved ones is actually involved, like a victim, it has already happened. In a lot of cases, the person would end up committing suicide. I think it's better I talk to him or her. It has happened, but you don't need to take your life. You just have to be careful in case of next time. You don't need to send out your news, because no matter how much you try to trust someone, you can't know them totally. You can't know them totally. So trust, and still have your little doubts about them. So if you're to send anything to them, ensure that you're not sending what you would regret if it comes out to the public. So you don't end up being depressed or ashamed of yourself. You can walk on the road because you feel people are saying your nudes out there, so you no longer have that self-esteem. So that's just it.
All right, very well. That's just it on sextortion. Sextortion it's a blackmail, and it shouldn't be tolerated or engaged or encouraged, rather. Let's move on to our last story for today. Chief Medical Director of Federal Psychiatric Hospital, Budo Eba, Kwara State, Dr. Isa Baba Awoye, has lamented the increasing use of synthetic drugs among youths. Alright, Nigerians have been ranked among the lower half of countries in the latest World Happiness Report 2025, which measures benevolence based on factors such as charitable donations, volunteering, and helping strangers. The report, published by the Gallup World Poll and the World Risk Poll, examines 6 key indicators of benevolence across various countries. Nigerian ranks poorly in most categories, especially in the charitable donations and the return of lost wallets. However, the country fares slightly better in helping strangers. The findings state that the relative frequency of other benevolent acts depends on local social and religious norms, as well as the role of private benevolence as a substitute of supplement for institutional social safety nets. This suggests that in countries like Nigeria, where social welfare systems are not robust, acts of generosity may be more formal and community-based. Nigerians' performance in benevolence ranking system assesses national based on the percentage of people who have recently engaged in acts of kindness, such as donating to charity, volunteering, and returning lost wallets. The data reveals that Nigeria is among the countries with lowest scores in donation-based benevolence. However, there is a contrast in behavior when it comes to assisting strangers. The report highlights that Jamaica, Liberia, and Sierra Leone are in top ranks for helping strangers but have donation rankings that are 80 or more places lower. Nigeria also follows this trend, ranking higher for helping strangers than to donating money. A major aspect of the study focuses on the return of lost wallets as an indicator of societal trust. There are a few countries where the ranking for helping strangers is high, while the ranking for donating to charity is very low. Jamaica, Liberia, and Sierra Leone are in top ranks for helping strangers but have donation rankings that are 80 or more places lower. Nigeria and Kenya, also in the top 10 for helping strangers, provide a less extreme contrast but still rank much higher for helping strangers than for donating. All 5 countries are near the bottom of ranking for expected wallet return by police, the report said. So, on my question, is it true, considering how free-spirited most Nigerians are? Do you think this is true?
Yes, there's been an increase in giving, even on social media. People are cooking, people are going out there giving people money. I think everyone knows how hard the economy is. It's literally unbearable. So people that have more or that just have a generous spirit, they are willing to give out more during this period. So yes, we've seen an increase in that.
All right. Ma'am, would you say the current realities has reduced our giving ability? Would you think maybe because of what happens when you help people or the economy, what do you think? Would you say the current realities has reduced our giving ability?
I don't think it has reduced our giving abilities. I think we're even getting better now. Because like she said, if you go through social media, you see a lot of persons giving on the streets, cooking, giving out clothes, giving money. Can I mention names?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we all know Ashikain, Enyolua, and many others. These are persons going out there giving out to people. I wouldn't say it's actually reducing, but to some extent, we would have done better if we had more. So the economy is actually having a toll on us because not everybody can afford the whole giving thing. I believe some persons are giving the little
that they have.
Okay. Have you heard of OYO on your own? Is that a current reality now?
I think now even more than ever, people are coming together because in this kind of economic situation, OYO is not advisable. It's not working. Communities are coming together. Churches are, giving more to their members. People that are well placed in society, they are helping out even more than before because the government is not coming to save any of us, and we know now more than ever that if we don't stand in for each other, if we don't show up for each other, nobody is going to. So it's OYO